All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Castle of Wizardry by David Eddings. This is book number 4 in his epic 5-book Belgariad series. Came out in 1984. Yes, this series was wildly popular in the 1980s and 1990s. David Eddings, one of the stars of the fantasy world. Book number 4. Let's talk about the covers first and the cover designs, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. This has a great illustration by the artist Lawrence Schwinger. He also did the other books in the series. This is the book. When I was in the bookstore, it was this very cover that drew me to these novels. I picked it up. I realized it was book 4 in a 5-book series. Luckily, the bookstore had all 5 books, so I bought them that day just based off of these covers. And if you can see, all the covers by the same artist. The design of the books were great. They all look like they belong in the same series. We put them together here. The spines all match, so it looks like a nice set of books on our shelf. So we have to be grateful to the publisher for creating just a good looking set of books here. I like the illustrations. I like the map. There's a little map in the background. There's a little scroll work thing. Each one has a different color, as you can see. It's just a dynamite little packaging of a book. Inside, we've got little flourishes like that. And of course, we have the map. And it's of a big, huge fantasy world the size of Middle Earth. And it's just, at one point in time in my life, Dragonlance and the Belgariad were the height of literary perfection in my life. I was pretty young then. I adored these books, read them over and over and over. These are nostalgia reads. I picked this one up. I've reread and reviewed the first 3 books in the series here. If you want to watch those book reviews before you continue on with this one, or you can just continue on with this one. But I really adored this book on a reread. I was like enchanted all over again rereading this book, even more so than these first 3. And I will tell you, this book number 4 was always my favorite in the series, maybe tied with book number 1, but it was always kind of my favorite David Eddings book of all, so I really enjoyed getting back into this. So what's it about? It's about a lot of fantasy tropes. Well, first of all, one of the things that I kind of noticed in this book is there's a character named Errand, E-R-R-A-N-D, and he is a young boy that can only say the word errand. Any question you ask or anything you need to know from him, he's just going to answer with errand, errand. He'll hand you a plate of chicken fingers and barbecue sauce and he'll be errand. You know, it doesn't matter what he's doing, he just says errand. Well, there's another character that does that in fantasy a lot, and that's Hodor, 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 Hodor. Now this book with Errand, who says nothing but errand the whole time, came out 15 years prior to the Game of Thrones, so we will say David Eddings had that idea first. Let's just say that. Errand, 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 Hodor, 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 Hodor. I do that all the time. When people are like at a door and I'm approaching the door and I yell out Hodor, 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 Hodor. I'm the only one that laughs at that. I'm the only one that gets it. But anyway, talking about this book. Garion is our main character. Garion. He's our bastard farm boy with a destiny. He's got his magic sword here. He's hearing voices at the beginning of this book. They talk to him. It's the sorcery talking to him. Different people from the past. There's just people. The voice. He hears voices. schizophrenic or not, he's hearing voices, telling him to do things, giving him advice, yada, yada, yada. That's kind of where our main character is sitting at the beginning of this, through the adventures that happened in the first 3 books. We'll get into a little bit. Now, 2 characters stood out to me at the beginning of this book quite strongly during this reread that I kind of had forgotten about, and that's Relg, R-E-L-G. He's the struggling religious fanatic. And then Taiba, or Tabi, T-A-I-B-A, Taiba, the slave girl who Relg rescued, who constantly challenges Relg's religious convictions at every turn. I actually really enjoyed their banter back and forth and their discussions back and forth on multiple topics. It was actually quite charming, quite fun. Forgotten all about that. Now, the rest of the characters that we love are also in this book. You know, Barak, the knight, Mandaralan, the knight, Silk, the thief, the sly one, Dernick, the old farmer, everybody's favorite character, Sinedra, the spoiled little princess, Hetar, the horseman, of course, Palgera and Belgariad, the big main sorcerer and sorceress of the book, Erend, of course, Erend and his orb. He's got an orb, looks something like well, I've got an orb too. So Erend carries the orb and says, Erend. Now, the orb plays an important part in the story in that, well, it's the most important part of the story. Now, one of the other charming things I'd forgotten about this book is, you know, in book 1, we start at Faldor's farm with Gary and our bastard farm boy, and he goes off on adventures. Well, in book 4, we kind of circle back to the farm. Not really a spoiler alert, but I mean, look forward to it when it happens, because we get to meet some of the characters that Gary was friendly with on the farm, like Zubret, his little girlfriend who he abandoned, and Rundorig, his friend, and then, of course, the archer Lel Doran, who bounces in and out of the series quite a bit. All great characters to kind of reacquaint yourself with and get to know again. Now, as the book does circle back around to Faldor's farm, worry not, all the characters get scattered out again. They just get scattered out. Garyon is, I won't give away spoilers, but he's a very important person in the realm at this point. But they are all scattered by book's end. The plot is basically this. The orb long protected the west from the Dark Lord Torak. The first 3 books, we had a quest to find the orb. Those were in the past. Now the orb is, spoiler alert, found. They've regained the orb, and the quest nears its end. Garyon discovers his sorcerer's power of his own. Now will he use it for good or ill? You know, they must, kind of the adventures they go through, they must escape a crumbling enemy fortress in the beginning, cross a desert full of Murgo fighters. The Grolems seek to destroy them with dark magics along the way. So there's a lot of just adventures, and it's told in a very... It's the prose that David Eddings used, you really do feel like you're in a medieval fantasy adventure. The word choices are very spot on if you're going for medieval fantasy. The way that the characters speak to each other, it's got a little bit of a modern twist, but you still feel like you're in old medieval England. And I was just charmed by this book quite a bit. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's a nostalgia 10 out of 10. I mean, if I was to read this as an adult, never read it, having read it before, you know, it might get about a 7 out of 10. Still, it would have been good, but I wouldn't have been like, wow, this is really taking me back to my childhood. Yay! Hooray for childhood things that we loved. I loved this as a child. I've loved it every other reread. I mean, I probably read this series 5 to 6 times as a child. Well, when I say child, I mean teenager. And then probably a couple times since. But anyway, Castle of Wizardry, Book 4 of the Belgariad. It's a nostalgic 10 out of 10. And that's it. That's really all I've got to say about it. I just need to talk for another few minutes till the video hits the 10-minute mark, because YouTube likes 10-minute videos.